Coming up on this episode, I explore ideas of perseverance. Freshly motivated with failures from trying to make an episode, I channel that frustration not only into an episode all about the idea of perseverance, but it leads me into thinking about ideas far deeper than that. Ideas of failure, ideas of why we fail, and what we can do on the other side of it. The mental toughness that comes into it. This idea of fight, flight, and freeze. All of this I start to delve into in no specific order and with plenty of tangents. So try hold on for this one as I kind of rant, vent, and decompress all at once with this doozy of an episode. So let's go get into it. What's going on, beautiful people? This is Perspective Chasers podcast, and I'm your host, John. On this episode, I want to take a second to talk about a bit of disappointment, a bit of frustration, the idea of try again. It's something that I literally have just struggled with 2 seconds before clicking the record button, because this wasn't the episode that I intended on making. I planned several episodes to make, and I've just been banging my head against the wall for the last couple of hours trying to get it done. And it just ain't working. So what do? Do I sit there and keep trying to flog a dead horse, for lack of a better way of saying it? Or do I pivot with life and try to do something different? Well, I pivot, I adapt, I overcome the problems. I refuse to give up when something gets tricky. I need time to figure out why that's not working. Sure, I'll accept that. But it doesn't mean I'm defeated. There's still something else I can work on in the meantime. There's something else I can do, something else I can talk about, something else that is pressing in my mind that is going to actually help me, and it's going to be of service to me. So that's what this episode is going to be. It's going to be an episode of mental toughness, of resilience, of what the hell do you do when you can't do the one thing that you want to do? Because that's where I keep ending up. I keep ending up in that place of, I know what I want, or I know what I need to, or what I want to do, but then I fail for one reason or another. And yeah, I can give excuses. I can say there's this in the way, there's that in the way, or life this, or money that, or blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, there is so many other ways to get things done. There are so many other things to do, things we can talk about, other ideas that we can have, that sometimes excuses are just that. They're not even that. They're just poop. For lack of a better word that's not going to get me cancelled, they are complete dog poop. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of giving myself excuses. I've done it time and time again in my life. I've thrown up an excuse and said, yeah, John, here, boo-boo you, have a little pity party, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes you need a pity party, a little candle for one, and just kind of drown your own sorrows for a bit. But that doesn't serve life well. When things actually get tough, when things actually get gritty, you need to do the same. You can't just, life, somebody help me. I'm sorry. Things don't work like that. If you do that in the wild, you're worm chowder eventually. So you've got to have that resilience. You can't just say, this hasn't worked. Okay, cool. I failed 100 times. Yeah? I'm going to try 101. I'm going to try 110. I'm going to try 200 times. I do not care how many times it takes me to get something right or do something the way that I want to do it. If it ain't up to my standard, it ain't right. It ain't gonna fly. And that's the whole thing with this, is it's not about how you act when other people are around. It's about how you act when you're around. And you're always around you. So if you're teaching yourself some bad lessons, if you're showing yourself that you're the person that when things get hard, gives up instead of trying again, who when life beats you down, you'll sit there and lick your wounds and wait for somebody else to come and pick you up and say, oh, my poor baby boy, or my baby girl, come here, I love you. I'm sorry, life don't do that. Sometimes it will, but if it does, I really question how much of a service it's doing to you, because there's not always going to be somebody there to save you. And trust me, I say this as a loving father. I would destroy the entire world for my daughter. But there is a world that she needs to exist in where I don't exist. Now, if I father cuddle her the whole time that she's in my life or I'm in her life, the moment that I'm taken out of her life and she can't come to me, what is she to do? And this is the thing. When we're thinking about parents, when we're thinking about friendships, partners, anybody where you've got that kind of symbiotic relationship with, you should want them to be able to survive without you. And don't get me wrong, that is a very scary thought. Whether it be your partner, your child, even a friend, knowing that they don't need you in their life. That is a stressful thing because it means that you're only around because they want you. That's not as much of a guarantee. So yeah, I understand we want to be needed. But when you're needed, that's not doing anybody a service. We all need that kind of bit of mental toughness. And yeah, a little bit of tough love is painful, especially when it comes to your own kids. Like I say, I love my daughter to absolute pieces. She is the absolute world to me. But I have to let her experience danger. I have to let her get hurt once in a while. She has to fall over and graze her knee and fall off her bike and all of these little things that are going to happen just throughout life to know that when things do get tough, you don't give up. Like, even if you get hurt, if you get scraped, like, I've got this thing where if I hurt myself, like, I had a really bad motorbike crash before where I basically flew off over the handlebars after crashing into an island. I know, poor eyesight, I didn't see it. Nah, my bad. Anywho, it wrenched my thumb back at like 50 odd mile an hour or whatever else. I've come off this thing. So the amount of force that went through my thumb as I was pulling the throttle back was ridiculous. I don't know how I've not lost my thumb. Like, I genuinely thought I'd at least broke something or whatever. I overstretched the ligament, but hey, who cares about that? But anyway, the point is that these things, what was the point in that? Damn it. I lost it. Mental toughness. Damn it. See, this is why I was struggling so much before this, because I was trying to stick to a script and my mind just doesn't do that. My mind likes to run. It likes to play with an idea and roll it around and look at it from all different angles. So trying to do a script and gonna keep reading you. I'm not reading you a bedtime story. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway, back on topic. So yeah, I don't know how my thumb didn't rip off. But what are you going to do? Are you going to stay off a bike? Or no, I went out and brought another one and got back on it. Got back on another bike about a week or two later. And then that bike stalled and I ended up wrenching my thumb again. But hey, you live and learn. But the thing is, like, what was the actual point in that story? I forgot. Damn it. Anyway, maybe I'll remember as we go. But look, bad things are going to happen. Tough things are going to happen. Like, here you go. Just to build on and try to repurpose that story a little bit. Once after that crash, I literally remember hitting the island. I tucked up as I flew over the handlebars, bounced 3 times. And I know it was 3 times because I counted how many times my head bounced off the floor. So I'm tucked up nice and tight. So obviously nothing's going to break and this, that, or everything else. I went 1, 2, 3 and then slid. And as soon as I stopped bouncing and started sliding, I rolled over and pushed myself up and jumped up. Because straight away, like, this is how fast your mind can move in like times of danger and times of just adrenaline. I was like, right, if I stay down, I was about 120, 130 kilos at that time. So I was a big old boy. I was like 260 pounds or nearly 300 pounds if you're American, I think. Anywho, I'm getting distracted again, John. Stop it. Anyway, in my mind, I was like, right, count the bounces, because if you lose consciousness, nobody's going to pick you up. So then once I start sliding, instantly push myself up and jumped onto my feet. I then got up and pulled my bike out the road and was like, look, da-da-da-da-da, and all going around. Like, my glasses were one way, the visor was another way. Like, everything was complete mess. But again, you go into this kind of fight or flight mode where, well, see, now I've got a problem with the fight and flight mode, because now it's fight, flight, freeze, float, and loads of friggin' Fs. Like, F off with it. Like, the main two to me are either fight or flight. They're the ones that matter. Like, you either fight or you run. Because if you stay there, if you freeze, you're going to get run over or eaten. So, does it really matter if you freeze? Well, I guess it does to an extent, but you're not going to live. Anyway, I'm getting distracted again. And maybe you'll see why the previous episode that I was planning with the script didn't work. Anyway, Right. So when you're in this state of mind, your brain's just like, damn, like, what do I need to do to survive? What do I need to do to survive? And when we're trying to do that, when we're in that kind of survival state, having somebody come around and go, oh, boo boo, are you okay? Da, da, da. At least to me, that's not the energy I need. Like, I need to keep up. I need to make sure that I'm on my feet, da, 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 da. I've completely gone on a tangent with this one on this odd story. How can I bring this back in? What was the actual idea of this episode, John? It was try again, yeah. So anyway, bad things happen in life. If you mummy cuddle people and you're like, when something bad does happen, they're not going to be able to deal with it. Like when I go through pain, that's where I was actually going with that story, to finally bring it all the way back onto thing. So when I went over the handlebars, my thumb got ripped back at like 50 odd mile an hour or more. And, damn it, I've lost it again. Yeah, that was it. Sorry. Mine's just completely not playing ball today. And that's part of why this is a try again episode, because I'm trying to get my mind on board and trying to get something out. Because as always, I'm on a time crunch and a life crunch. And anywho, fun. Right. So anytime I'm hurt, I have to kind of like push it and just be like, yeah, how much are you really gonna hurt? Because I need to know I can take more than life's dishing out. And there is so many thoughts spiral off of that idea in itself, which I think is a very controlling kind of personality trait, where it's like, I'll hurt myself more than life can ever hurt me, or I just need to know that this ain't as much pain as I can take, and this, that, and everything else. Like, hey, look, I'm somebody that's experienced a fair chunk of pain in my life, so I like to know what I can and cannot handle. Like, I don't know, it's like when you see somebody playing with an electric fence, and I know I'm going on another tangent, but that's kind of the vibe for today. So, yeah, like when you see somebody playing with an electric fence, well, just those intrusive thoughts that pop into your mind, that's just like, how hot is that? Oh, what would happen if you'd done that? Like, those thoughts, I mean, they're probably the reason for a lot of discovery, if anything. But back on topic, John, the idea of trying again, like me trying to get back on topic over and over and over again. Like, sometimes the more you try to do something, the more you can get infuriated. And that's literally what happened to me when I was trying to record the episode that this was meant to be. Where it's like, I put so much planning into doing something, and I was like, right, well, if I do this and do that, and then after I'd actually started, all of the problems that kind of come up just threw all of my planning out the window. And this is why I always say that there's a massive kind of disconnect between the theory and the practical. Like, the textbook might say one thing, but the practical aspects of it in life are two completely different things. So sometimes, like, yeah, just trying again, like, practice makes perfect. Okay, in some instances, yeah. But then sometimes practice makes me pissed off. So I don't want to practice, so I stop trying, or I get distracted, or I do something else. Like, just trying over and over again isn't always the answer. Sometimes you need to pivot. Sometimes you need to change direction. Sometimes forever. Sometimes just for a little bit. Like, even take the pod for the example. The episodes that I was trying to record and that I'm going to record, I'm not going to bin those. Thankfully, because they're not off the top of my head, I can save them for another day and build in a bit more structure and kind of try on a day where I'm not as rushed and not as stressed and not as... But it takes time. Look, all of life is a learning curve, right? So now, if you keep trying in whatever aspect of life it may be, nothing's going to be perfect. Look, nobody has the perfect relationship. Nobody has perfect friendships, the perfect job, this, that, or whatever else. Everybody's life is full of ups and downs. Ironically, that's kind of what I was going to do the episode on. Here's a little teaser for the upcoming series of humans chasing happiness. Like, I want to explore the ideas of humans and happiness. The first episode is going to focus on why we always keep ourselves 2 steps away from happiness. Because we really do prefer the chase than we do the catch. And I've got stats on that, but they will come in that episode. Not now. Teaser. Anyway, back on topic again. Look, the mind is a weird thing. So whether you're trying to get your mind on topic or whether you're trying to do a physical task, like I remember training in the gym when you would get to a plateau and it'd be like, oh, all right, let's take bench, for example. for all of the gym bros out there. If you wanted to up your bench press, and let's use a decent number of, say, 140, 150 kilos. If you was, say, at 120 kilos and you wanted to get to 140, 150, but you'd been stuck at 120 for a couple of months now, the best thing you can do is not to keep doing what you've been doing. It's to actually completely change exercise. Maybe stop bench press, go into something like dumbbells, maybe go into some dips and do things from a bit of a different angle, because there's a bit of a roadblock in there. You're headbutting your head against the wall. Yeah, well, a few attempts to even get one recording started. But there's so much where like you're kind of headbutting a wall. So sometimes you completely need to come away from that wall and try a different direction. So in this instance, the idea of bench press, this is my PT brain coming out, sorry. In the idea of bench press, your two hands are working together. So when you go into something like dumbbells, that turns it into isolateral. Each muscle has its own weight. So then they've got to kind of work on different areas. So you might be going in the same direction, but you're slightly adjacent to that. So maybe this time, instead of bumping into that wall, you just graze past it. And the more you do that, eventually you glide past that. So I'm hoping I've taken a kind of similar approach here, where I've kind of got some ideas of the episodes that I want to do in this, but at the same time, it's more a decompression of all of the stresses that come with that. Like there's going to be more planning. Again, it's a learning curve. A lot of the things that we try that are new, they don't work straight away. Think again about a kid learning to ride their bike and everything else. They're gonna fall off. I remember when I used to ride my bike up and down the street, like, I used to try to close my eyes because I'm a weirdo, but eventually I'd fall off. And it obviously clearly my own fault, but even once, I guess, again, that's the kind of ever moving goalpost. Do you know what I mean? Like even once you've tried something and you succeeded, you've learnt to ride that bike. Well, now I want to learn to do no hands or no eyes or a wheelie or whatever, a skid, whatever it may be. Like, even when we try something and we succeed, we then get distracted move on to the next thing. We don't actually appreciate the effort that we put in or the facts that we achieved the thing. So like even now, once I get to the end of this episode and I'm like, phew, I actually got an episode in the bag for today. Like I'm not actually going to sit with that idea. I'm going to go straight back to the idea of, damn, that other episode didn't work. Why didn't I get that in the bag? And start stressing on everything else. And this is why that mini-series is so important, because it really does delve into this idea properly, but it takes a lot more time. And that's the thing. Sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves. Now, my failure today was for multiple reasons, from being rushed, from being unprepared, from being over-prepared, from trying to fit myself into a box that I don't quite fit in. Like there's so many variables to why things don't work, that sometimes you do have to take a proper step away to realize what's going on, whether it be with your work life, with your personal life, with your relationships. Sometimes you need to take that big old step back, depending on what depending on what aspect of life, that can look very differently. Like reassessing your relationships compared to reassessing your career path or your work or whatever else, that is a very different undertaking from one another. If you took the same approach you would with a relationship as to work, it's not going to work out, and vice versa. Like each one of these situations, they need their time. You need to understand them and understand yourself. And even that, like understanding my own frustrations, like now I can genuinely feel myself kind of calming down and the anxiety of all of that failure kind of just diminishing slowly. And it's not because I've overcome the task necessarily. It's because in the interim, I found a way to take off some of that pressure. I found a way to kind of still hit my target, but then leave the door open for that on the back end. Again, a lot of this that I do is kind of learned experience. I mean, a lot of life is you just learn by doing. Nobody is born with a bloody instruction manual for life. We're all trying to figure it out, and life looks differently all around the world. So even if you've kind of had one set of rules or one kind of way that you've lived your entire life and you move halfway around the world, that same thing's not necessarily going to work Or it could be the other way around. You could live in an area where you're the weird person and you're the standout and this, that, or whatever else. But then you move halfway around the world and hey, you fit in. You're like, just like everybody else. Like, the world is a very, very, very weird place. And we're in it just trying to make sense of it. And while we're trying to make sense of it, we've got all of these kind of attempts and failures and all of these thoughts and ideas and everything else. And not everything's going to work out. Like, on the grand scheme of things, the majority of stuff is going to fail. Like, I don't have no stats on that or whatever else, but I reckon, I mean, somebody fact check me by all means. Drop it down in the comments if I'm wrong, but I genuinely think the number of ideas that succeed opposed to the number of ideas that fail, yeah, I reckon far more fail than succeed. Because again, we learn from experimenting, we learn from failure. You learn far more from something that doesn't work than what does work. And I know that might sound a bit it might sound a bit backwards to some people or whatever else, but even then there's the idea that like, it's better for you to perceive a negative from a survival standpoint than it is to assume something is a positive and then overlook the negative. For example, if you heard in hunter-gatherer times, just to paint a pretty picture, you've stepped out of your cave, you've gone to relieve the call of Mother Nature, and you hear a stick crack behind you. Now, it could just be your partner coming to sneak up on you and, you know, a little bit of cheeky behind the bushes. Or it could be a tiger coming up to make you his lunch. It's better for you to presume that it's the tiger for your survival standpoint and react accordingly than it is for you to presume that it's something non-threatening and essentially potentially get eaten. I know which one I would prefer. Anyway, I'm getting distracted yet again. But look, it's always going to be better for us to kind of perceive that something's going to fail or it's going to be negative, because then we protect ourselves. And we always want to protect ourselves because nobody wants to get eaten. We want to survive. So with that in mind, when you're failing and things just ain't going right over and over again, step back and assess. Because remember, we're looking for the things to not go right. We're understanding that, okay, cool. Like, when I was doing those attempts, I can tell you exactly what was going wrong. I was trying to fit my mind into a box, which doesn't bloody work. But that's just problem proposing. That's saying, okay, cool, this is the problem. That's like turning around from going for your pee and you see, okay, cool, there's a tiger there. What do you do now? Do you freeze? Do you run? You punch it in the face? What do you do? But if you, and this is why straight away I've got to have pushback on that flight, fight, freeze kind of thing. Because the freeze does you no service. So why focus on it? If you run, you might have a chance of surviving. If you fight, you might have a chance of surviving. If you freeze, I highly doubt you're going to survive. Like, there's some animals that they say if you don't move in front of, that you're going to survive. I don't know how true that is, and I wouldn't want to be the guy to find out. I would rather try to save myself. Whether it means punching a tiger in the face, it would be a hell of a story if you survived, will it not? Or running for your life from the tiger. Like, I would have to do something. Like, no matter what failures we have, if you just give up and you're just like, okay, cool, I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to freeze in life and do absolutely nothing. It's only a matter of time before something eats you. Not being funny, if you're not going nowhere, it could be a snail that eats you. Like, how sad would that be? Death by snail. You refuse to move through life at any pace so that it was possible for a snail to eat you alive. That would be one hell of a way to go. And I would rather exhaust myself trying than just give up and be like, I'm not cut out for life. I'm sorry, I am not willing to admit that. Like I said, if something hurts me, if something puts my back up against the wall, I double down. I go harder. I want to find out if I have what it takes. Because if I don't, I can train. I can go get it. I can get mentally stronger. I can get physically stronger. I can get smarter. There is something I can do about it. But until I know the truth of the matter, until I actually discover what is on the other side of that thing, what is in my way, I'm going to be stuck, and I'm not willing to be stuck. I'm too stubborn for that. So I will ask the questions. And even if the reality is a hard one, even if the truth is that I'm not good enough, that I'm not smart enough, that I'm not strong enough or fast enough, I would rather know that so I can do something about it than have somebody mummy cuddle me and go, no, you'll find it was just one really fast and aggressive lion. Like, no, I don't want that. I want to know that when all is said and done, if I am just John in a Mad Max world and everything else has ended, that I will survive, that I will push on. I don't know why, but I want that determination, that no matter what life throws at me, I will not give up. I haven't given up yet, and I've been through challenge after challenge after challenge. I grew up in bloody bandages, and I dreaded every day that I was made to bleed. But I am still here. I physically have tough skin. I have broken bones, I have crashed vehicles, I've battered and bruised my body, I've nearly drowned. And I am still damn here. I am not giving up on life until I have reached the end that I want to reach. And I hope you don't either. None of us here are here to roll over and play dead. So we will try again. We will get back up. We will get knocked down 100 times and get back up 101. You will not fail. Alright? Make that promise to yourself. Not for me, not for anyone else but you. Because when all is said and done, you are all that you have. So if you don't try for you, if you don't put in the work for you, if you don't seriously dig deep and find out if you are worth it, you may get eaten by a snail. What a way to go. And on that pretty note, let's end the episode. The seed for this episode, I don't know if I can sum it up any better than don't get eaten by the snail, but don't give up. Look, whether you thrive under pressure or you crumble under it, life is about building up that resilience. You might not be able to bench press 2 or 10 kg today, but tomorrow, 6 months from now, you can condition yourself, you can get stronger. Hey, there was once a time in my life where I couldn't do a single damn press up if you'd have put a gun to my head. Now, I could bang out multiple at the flip of a coin. Humble brag. But look, that doesn't matter. What matters is today's challenge, you might skate past in 6 months. So don't be afraid of the challenge. Don't be afraid to admit that you're not good enough or you can't do something. It doesn't mean you have to completely give up. It just means you need to reassess. You need to look a little bit harder and figure some things out. Alright? All the best, and we'll catch you on the next one.